It came to the point, though, where I was like, I would love to buy the cabinet center. Now, I know it's not for sale, but I'm going to come to you every single day until you will sell it to me. If you don't want to, then I will be done January 1st.
The following is a Big Sky Economic Development production.
It's Mars B.
And Kavo.
And this is The Vault at 201 North Broadway.
A business podcast.
Where we bring you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and community leaders of Montana.
To share their stories, expertise, industry insights, and strategies.
And we are sharing them all with you every single week.
You don't want to miss this.
Learn how to better start, manage, and grow your business.
And your leadership style.
Tangible takeaways to save you time and improve whatever it is that you're working on.
You're listening to The Vault.
Thank you to the Small Business Development Center for sponsoring The Vault at 201 North Broadway. The Small Business Development Center offers free personalized support from business plans to financial projections and beyond, empowering small businesses to thrive. Reach out to us at bigsky.economicdevelopment.org.
We are so excited today to have Jessica Hannesson, owner and founder of Hannesson Home and Made for Home, joining us today on The Vault. Welcome, Jessica. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're excited. So we would love to kick off today with having you give us details behind something you've said in your bio when we were, just doing some background research. And it really stuck out to me. And I'm like wanting more details in the story behind it. And you said, I love the hustle and doing the unexpected for my age. I think you said it as you were talking about growing up in Glendive, working. And you're like, I've loved the hustle, unexpected. And for your age, because you're young.
Yeah. And I started... even young. We're at almost year 4, so 28 is when we opened our businesses. And so, I think it comes down to a lot of just my upbringing. My dad had a tire store, and I worked at it at a young age, and I worked through it all through high school, anytime I wasn't doing sports. And I think even like in sports or working at a young age or anything like that, I just have always enjoyed having responsibilities. And I think when you see your parents also build something from scratch and really kind of build it up and make it what it is today, and you see the sacrifices too that come with it, I think some people would maybe want to like shy away from that. But for me, it was always like, man, they're doing something so much bigger than them. And I think that there is something really appealing to that. Like, how far can you go? What is the limit? And if you love something, then I truly believe it's endless. You can go anywhere. And I think that passion, it started out as a hustle. Whenever you open a business, I feel like starting out, it's a hustle. And now it still is too, but it's actual love behind it as well. And I think that's the secret sauce with anything. I think you just have to have the love for it. And then at that point, it's really the hustle is what fuels it, and that's going to take you to however far you really want to go with it.
I love that you said that because when Lorena and I are talking with clients, that's the biggest thing is, do you actually have passion and love for what you're going to be going into? Because it is a hard road.
100%.
It's not like, hey, I'm starting my business, everything's going to be great. It's like I've got hard decisions every day, multiple times a day. It's not an 8 to 5. It's a 5 to 8 job.
Yeah.
And it's really hard on you. And so if you don't have that love and passion, it's hard to remember why you're doing it.
Yeah. And that can get lost in the sauce really easy. If you don't have that love, and I see it time and time again, like if the fuel is not there, it's just so hard. And I have people reach out sometimes saying like, oh my gosh, you're living my dream. Like, I would love to do that. Like, I want more freedom. I want more of this. And I'm like, whoa. I love that. And if you love it, awesome. But if you're doing it for freedom, especially in the beginning, that won't be the case. It's just more, it's a lot of effort. As things that turn into be something great, they should require effort. That's kind of the whole point.
It's not worth having if it's not. You don't have to work a little bit for it. So you talked about the tire shop. So do you have some of those specific examples? Because you're from a smaller town,
Super
right?
small.
In eastern Montana, which I I
What
think
small
that
town?
adds
Glendive, Montana.
to layers
nice.
of people's,
Yeah.
what they're doing now. But are there some stories or memories that stick out to you that you're like, gosh, this is really like why I do things the way I do them now?
I don't know. I mean, there's obviously like stories that come to mind, of course, that were vivid. I remember on Christmas Eve, there was a guy stuck on the interstate with a flat tire. And my dad is with all of our family. And I just remember him being like, that guy though, like, can you imagine being in his position? Like, yes, I could stay home and I could enjoy tonight because it is Christmas. But at the same time, can you imagine if nobody helps him? And I just remember thinking like, oh, my dad is a superhero.
Yeah.
Like, he is awesome. Like, look at him. That's so, like, even at such a young age, I remember thinking, like, that is incredible. And even, like, from my mom's standpoint is a huge portion of why I went into design, besides the fact that she actually told me to do that. Beyond that, she built such a home for us. And I think that feeling, that nostalgic feeling of coming home and there was always dinner made, or she always had candles burning, or in her free time, like her aunts would come down with my grandma, and their fun thing that they would do together is rearrange furniture in my mom's house. Like that, isn't that hysterical? Yeah. Like, but it's also a small town. There wasn't a ton of things to do, but I mean, and there was this little local home decor shop there too. I mean, keep in mind, you guys, we had McDonald's for only a blimp. We don't even have that now. So, I mean, it's very small. So there was this hidden gem of a home decor store there too. And we would always go there and we'd buy things, and I loved how it would transform a space. And so I think for my family, home was just so important. Even the work that my dad did at the tire store, it was still like for the people, like even though it was just tires, and somebody else might just see it as like it's a necessity or whatever, but the work that he put into it. And even when my parents bought a building, I remember them saying how scary it was. And they were so worried about if they could afford it. And just that sacrifice, and also just seeing their hard work poured into it. I remember going down to the building, and there was dead mice everywhere. I mean, it was just to see that transformation, though, and their love and like what it became, whether you realize it or not, it does influence, I guess, where you're going to take your journey too. And so, yeah, and my parents, man, talk about like the epitome of what I hope I can accomplish in life. It is them for sure.
I love that. Well, and I think for them, that's such a big risk when you're in a smaller market.
Yeah.
You're saying, I'm going to buy this building and renovating it, and I'm going to offer a business out of it. And I hope that there's enough community in this region that can sustain and support it.
Yeah. And I mean, even I didn't realize it at the time because my parents were very good about, I think, holding that close to them. There was moments that they didn't know if they were going to make it. Like there are scary months where they're like, oh my gosh, like, and not until I'm at this stage in my life where I'm looking to them for advice and stuff, do they start telling me those stories. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this isn't just, I don't think it matters where, how big, how small, like there is scary pieces to this always. And I think that's just entrepreneurship in general. And I think it's just having a lot of faith too that it will work out.
It's all meant to be. It's
You have to just put it into the universe and then hope.
And get up and go to work.
No, it's so true. I mean, we hear all the time, it's like, I just need to know if something happens, how do I pay my employees?
Yeah.
It's just like, so you always have to be one step ahead of like, what am I going to do in a situation like that too? So
yeah,
it's really awesome that you have two role models that you can say, hey, what happened in this? Like if you ran into this, how would you handle that?
Yep.
So that's really cool.
So you mentioned your mom kind of was that push for you for design.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because it led you to Bozeman.
It did. Yeah. So my whole life I danced. That was like my thing. I sang and danced. That was like, I loved theater. My dream was to be the next Beyonce. Like it was just,
Isn't that everybody's dream?
It is. But I loved the idea. And it's so funny. Part of why I wanted to be a performer is I love the idea of setting up a concert. Like how you could design the setup, make it an experience, like because you can be super creative. And I loved that idea that is like the epitome of creative freedom. It was for me anyways. I'm like, between the choreography, the vocals, the songwriting to the stage setup, like, okay, like, can you top that? I mean, in my opinion. I don't think you could. And so, like, even to the outfits and the fashion. So that was my dream always. So I went to California to chase it. And I quickly realized that it was not going to be what I thought it was going to be.
Very competitive, hard industry.
It is. And I'm not going to lie. If you think you're good, go there and you'll find out there's several that could replace you. So anyways, I went back to, I actually moved back to Billings, and I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. Like I was totally in a funk. I knew I didn't want to be there, but I had no idea what my next road was going to be. And my mom actually had heard about the interior design program at Bozeman. And my mom has always had like this weird intuition with things. I hope I can have that with my kids too. But she's always kind of known what was best for us, whether or not we knew it or not.
It's funny how moms are like that.
I know.
You're like, how do you know that? Like, how do you know that would? And then it turns out later, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. And so we were living literally in a shed in the back of a house by Pioneer Park. I mean, it was actually a shed converted into a house, and it was Christian and I. So we've been together a very long time. And I remember my mom calling me on our cheap futon with a Tupperware upside down for the coffee table. And I remember her saying, you should really go into interior design. And it was April of obviously I went in August to attend school, and I just knew right away. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. Like I would love to try
your
that.
aha moment.
Yeah, and then I did the choir and I did dance there, and we jumped right in, moved in August, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what were those things in that program that really stand out to you? What was it like going through that program?
I think the one thing that I would say just about the program in general is whenever you do anything, I feel like in college, it's only so surface level. So it's only going to take you through the basics to set you up for whatever you choose, anything in interior design. I mean, I had a girl that wanted to do just yacht design, like yachts. And I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you even start that? We're in Montana. But I mean, there really is that many different niches that you can do within our industry. You can just be a drafter, or some people did architecture and design combination. And I think that some of the things that I enjoyed most was just that I could really create something. I could find what I really love within the program, and I could go for that. And so that, I think it was just that there were so many options, and that creativity, I think, was just the most important to me, to create something really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So now you're in school, you're going through the program,
Yeah.
and then you're planning. What was your next step after that?
So my husband, Christian, he actually worked for the railroad at the time, and he was always on the road. And we just said, okay, we need to be somewhere where you can be with me all the time. And so Bozeman, I applied. So I'm definitely that person that likes to create my own destiny if I can. I think I applied to like 49 places before I actually graduated. Like I just wanted to know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Have some
so,
options.
Yeah.
And I think that's
had the big
important as a
dreams.
student, because
Yeah.
sometimes I think college students, we've had a few on where you're like thinking, not the ones we've had on, but you think like, oh, I have a degree, everyone will hire me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no,
Nope.
that's a hard no.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that, depending on like social skills and all that too, just like sometimes that degree doesn't really matter. It's about the fit for that company. So, I mean, anyways, his job took us to Billings. And I cried the whole way here, guys. I'm not going to lie. Keep in mind, this is 10 years ago. And at that point in time, there was design stuff here, just not a lot. And I don't want to say that in a negative way. It's just when you come from Bozeman, that was extremely embracing of that and very artsy. To move to Billings, also, I didn't know a lot about Billings, but to move here and starting to look at what the job pool was for options was just slim.
Yeah.
And like it was hard to find something that was even inspiring to be a part of. And so that was tricky. I was sad. I was sad to move here. Now I'm happy. I created what I felt was what I needed. But
And what did you find when you got here?
I
mean, because you ended up getting a job.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Was Carpet one the first
That
job?
was my first job and
Okay.
my last job. I was there for 7 years until I opened Hannesson Home. So I'm a loyalist like to a fault. But anyway, so when I applied at several places in town, the one thing that I did want to be on the table is just a lot of opportunity. And when I met with Randy Mostad at Carpet One, I resonated with a lot of the things that he was saying, in the sense that, like, if you go into the kitchen and bath world, which is where I started and where a lot of my expertise is, then you have a lot of like limits there is not as many limits as far as like income goes, and you'd be a commission salesperson. And a lot of people hate that idea of a commission sales job. I loved it. I loved the idea that if I wanted to try and go get a raise, then I could go out and go find it. Or if my daughter wanted to do dance classes, then I was going to go and try and do that, you know? And so I think commission has always been like a dirty word or whatever. And I just never saw it as that. Maybe I didn't know enough.
No, but I love that, because I do think people see that because they're like, well, what if it doesn't work?
Yeah.
But what if it does?
Yeah.
What if you're really good at it? It's also a motivator.
100%.
And I'm not saying, I worked in a commission-based job as well. Yeah. And so I understand that. And I am not that person. Like, for me, it's a hard ask.
Yeah.
But there are people who are really good at it.
Yeah.
And it's very motivational for them. It's like, hey, the sky's the limit on how much I can make here. I just have to go do the work.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And there is a personality for it, for sure.
And I think the thing that I have found too, because I have seen other commission jobs, and the key for what I would say a commission job to be successful is you have to love the product that you're selling. Like, you have to love it and believe it. And I got to the point, and I don't want to sound whatever, but I truly believed that if somebody didn't use me to do their kitchen, that it would be a disservice for them. Because and this is just all whatever, and I'm sure there's a lot of really good people out there, so I don't want to like disregard that. But I'm just saying, for me, I was like, you know what? I care so much. Bringing back kind of that factor of what my dad, like how he was with his employees and like how sacrificial that was. I wanted to be that. I wanted to care so much for them and wanted to make their house so great, because it is a huge investment. And for me, it was like, no, I'm going to love this like it's my own. And I'm going to sell you this, and you are going to love it too. And I know what the outcome's going to be, and it's going to be awesome for them. And so I think the key to like anything commission is, like, if you love the product and you do good work and you are good for like that person, then there shouldn't be any reason why that isn't a good fit for you. You know what I mean? And so I think that there is commissions that are harder because maybe like you don't believe in the product or it feels not good to you or whatever. But at the same token, if it is something that is beautiful and you have the passion for it again, then that's not the worst thing. Also, it was a very new company. So it was the cabinet center that I worked under at Carpet One.
Okay.
And so it had just opened, like I think it was only 6 months old at the time. And so it had the opportunity. I built the website for it. I found the lines with another coworker. And the idea of building this thing up without really any rules, I was like, oh yeah, let's do this. Like, let's make this thing great if we can. And so that's kind of why I took that position over other ones.
Well, and kind of bringing back that sense of home, I think in our family at least, so many things happen in the kitchen.
100%.
You know, not the rest of the house is amazing.
Everybody is,
but everyone's always in the kitchen. That's where it drives my dad crazy. He's like, we have all this other space in the house, and I'm like, everyone is in the kitchen.
Yep. And it's just, we're creatures of habit, and that's where everything happens. So we always hang out there.
It's where the food is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is.
That's why our family always is in the kitchen, is because it's where the food is, and then everyone has conversations because they're there.
Or they make the cup of coffee, or
exactly.
and they sit
That's
down
where
at
the
the
morning
island.
is.
Yeah.
It's a special place.
Yeah.
So you are working there for 7 years.
7 years. Yep.
Learning a lot, building a brand. I mean, helping them build their brand.
Yep. And then I just asked them. It came to the point though where I was like, okay. And I told my friends so many times, you guys, I'm like, no, I'm really going to do my own thing. And I think it probably was like, okay, she said that for how long now? But it was really, I think timing is everything. And I finally made the decision. I was like, okay, I think it was October of 2019. And I told my husband, I said, you know what, I'm ready. Like, I'm going to do this one way or the other. I'm going to make this happen. And so I actually went to Randy, the owner of Carpet One, and I told him, I said, I would love to buy the cabinet center. if I can. Now, I know it's not for sale, but I'm going to come to you every single day until you will sell it to me. And
You built it up?
Yeah. And
you're
at the same time, though, if you don't want to, then I will be done January 1st. Like, I have to choose myself. And like, obviously, I would love to continue to keep the lines that I've fostered with the brands that we sell. Like, that was a big loss if I would have to get rid of those, but I had backups. And I was like, but I would love to buy this if I could. If it all makes sense, if the dollars make sense, I would love to buy it. If not, I do have to remove myself. And so he sold it to me.
That's awesome.
But I know that didn't just happen overnight, right? So
No.
when did that start for you? Then you finally had the confidence and you're like, nope, I have to do this. But leading up to that, what did that look like? When were you thinking and talking with Christian, like, I need to do this. I can build this, a brand.
I think it came down to, I think it was a lot of things. My brother, Matt, is extremely entrepreneurial, and his wife, Brianna, is too. And so I think when you have this influence of a lot of entrepreneurs and people that believe in taking risks, I guess we're just probably a little bit more of a risk-taking family, maybe. But I mean, like my husband, Christian, he was so encouraging. And he was encouraging from day one. And everybody really was like, you just got to do it. Like, let's do it. Let's set it up. And I think for me, it just had to be a personal decision for when I was ready. Because when you have everybody saying, yes, do it. I can punch holes in almost anything. I am a little bit, how would you word it? Guilty till proven innocent mantra a little bit. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't, I will tell everybody why it won't work, even though in my mind, I
am coming up with the ideas.
Yes. And like in my gut, I'm like, but it might,
But this could be.
It could.
Yeah. And so lots of late night conversations with Christian and really trying to come up with spreadsheets. That was probably the biggest change, is when I made the LLC. And I actually had my sister-in-law, Brianna, help me with that. And then she kind of set up, because that stuff is not my strong suit. So she kind of walked me through what that looked like. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we're in business.
We've got it. It's official.
I got an LLC, I got an EIN, and here we go. And so she helped me with that. And then I had another friend help actually make a spreadsheet of what I think I could do in revenue, estimated expenses. And I think that Excel spreadsheet was when I actually felt my nerves calm down. I was like, okay, I can do this. I believe that I can hit these revenues, and I know I can swing this. And that was probably the biggest turn point of, all right, let's do the dang thing.
It's more numbers and some of those factual things. So
Yep.
what about, so he sold it. Obviously, he really believes in you.
Yeah.
Which is a testament to you. The name.
Yeah.
Naming is a big deal.
Yeah. And I almost kept the cabinet center, which is kind of like laughable now. But I mean, I still own it. But it's hard because I know Randy, and he's amazing. And he invested a lot of dollars in marketing into that name. And so when somebody has like, you've built this name too for years and everything, it's easy to want to keep that and like to ride that wave. You don't have to get a new sign. You don't have to get a new website, all those expenses. And it was actually my brother. It was Matt. And he was like, that is not you. He's like, come on. Like, it was so obvious to him that I should not keep the name. And even Christian was like, Jess, like, I just don't think that it's the brand. And so that was like, okay, you're right. Let's build a whole new branding guide. And I just went with Hannesson Home. I mean, I would like, the idea now with that name is hopefully somebody doesn't see it as a last name at some point. I want it to be such a brand that people just think Hannesson Home is just another company that exists in the world, not necessarily my name.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know if they would unless they know you.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they know you if they're working with
Yeah.
Hannesson Home. But,
Yeah.
people driving by, out of town.
For sure. And it's a unique name. It's different. I mean, I have to spell it several times. There's way too many N's and way too many S's. But so it made sense for us that it was going to be who we are. And then I wanted home to be involved in it, because that's really the core of everything for us is home.
I love that. And so you've not only have Hannesson Home, so you have, how long did you have that before you created Made for Home?
So, I mean, Hannesson Home we had it for probably, I went to market right away. So January 1, 2020 was when we went into business. And I knew right away I wanted to have a retail store. I love retail. That's probably one of my biggest passions is retail and home decor. I love it a lot. And so
You can tell.
Yeah, it's my
in
thing.
in the best way, because your store feels so homey.
Yeah.
And it's always changing. There's always new product.
All the time.
Yeah,
and
we'll
that's
get
super
into that.
important.
Yeah.
And so it was only 2 weeks before I went and purchased accessories for that, not even a live brand yet. And the funny thing is it first started out as Shop Hannesson Home. That was what we called it at first. And
I think I remember that.
Yeah, so it was actually Shop Hannesson Home.
Because we did the Christmas party.
Christmas,
at Shop
Yeah,
Hannesson
you guys
Home.
are like my
Our
OGs.
first year. We love our holiday Christmas.
Yes, it is. It was a small space. I mean, but it's when you start out, it's like I never had anybody tell me it was crazy, and maybe I did, and I just don't remember. But I had no money. I had zero money, and I only got a local bank in Glendive to give me a line of credit. That was it. And I had to beg. And it was right to the very end before I signed the loan documents with Randy and everybody else, which was on, I think, January 1st. I think it was exactly January 1st when we signed everything. And I had to go and beg. And I had everything kind of lined up with a local bank here in Billings. And they were like, sorry, we can't give you this. And so it came down to like my dad and I going to somebody that he knew in Glendive, being like, hey, would you please? And they did. And so that was, again, right to the very end. It was very close. And so that's all I had. I didn't even, my bank account had literally $0. My company bank account did. But I had this idea, it is going to work. It's going to be fine. I'm going to close deals right away. And we did. But I went to market and I spent $2,500 on accessories. And I remember it being monumental. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I actually even going to get these out to the public? We started a renovation right away in the building that we're in on 24th Street, which is only 2,000 square feet, mind you, with a lot of employees. And so it was just small. And so we did what we could, but then COVID happened. So we went straight to e-commerce and put everything online. I'm like, I have to make money on these products. Like I can't just have them in my warehouse. They'll be obsolete by the time we can maybe open again. And so it relatively quickly, Shop Hannesson Home opened, but a lot of people probably don't know of it until maybe a year later.
Wait, so you talk about, so I'm curious. So how many team members did they come with you when you purchased the company?
Employees.
When you decided about purchasing the downtown location, so you have Hannesson Home and then you have this downtown building.
Yeah. So I said a lot of employees. We got to a lot of employees. We didn't start with a lot of employees. So it was just me. And then I had 2 others that were working for Carpet One at the time, and they did come with me. And I still have one of them today. And so at the time, there was only 3 of us, actually. Yeah, I think it was just 3. But then, actually, I had Bailey, and she came on board with me at that same time. She actually was my nanny, and I will not let her leave me at any point in my life. So I'm like, will you actually come and help me with, my books and stuff, which is so comical now because that lasted, a hot second. But she actually is the one who, at that time, really embodied the retail side with me. And she has made it definitely what it is today too. She's incredible. Yeah. So it actually was 4 of us. It would have been Bailey, and then me and 2 others that were a part of the team at that point.
So a smaller building website, building a new brand.
Yep.
I'd love to ask your opinion. We have a lot of business owners that are purchasing businesses, and then the staff comes with, right?
Yeah.
And there's that transition.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I actually forgot. I did buy another location when we had 2 locations. We did actually have 2 locations.
When
now
you
that you say
started.
that about how the business, so not all did come with me because I did close a location that was in the Heights.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how was that navigation? Because with the 2 that you brought with you, you were an employee with them, and now that dynamic has completely changed and now you're
sure.
their boss. How was that? Like, what was that navigation like? Because we have a lot of clients that go through that. They get the opportunity that's presented to them to purchase the business. And then there's turmoil. Like there's that hard, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they're just like, hey, I shouldn't have to like respect you like that. And
I think it's hard. Nobody, and I've actually said this, nobody tells you that when you become a boss, that everybody does look at you differently. That was something I kind of had to learn in a not the best way.
And you go from being, it is hard, like you go from being a player on the team to like the coach.
Yeah, and I think I always was a leader, you know, in that
that's
realm.
The best way to describe what
to
I
give
was
it
trying
like
to
a sports analogy, and it's hard
totally followed.
because no one tells you how to do it.
Nobody tells you either that people look at you different right away.
Yes.
So you don't change. Nothing actually changes with you as a person. You are the same exact person that you were.
You're just treated different.
Yeah.
And it's,
And you think that they will love you because you love them. And that's not the case either. Like, it's just different. That is actually probably one of the harder things I have to deal with in business. So I think with the ones that did come on, it was actually it wasn't anything super difficult, especially when we were small. As we continue to grow, I think the growth was probably where the hardships come because you are more hands off because you have 500 emails coming at you that are so business related. And sometimes I don't even know how to communicate what I am all doing because it's just so much. And, I mean, and that's when that trust factor comes in too. Like my employees, and it's so weird. I hate even calling them like my employees. I always have considered them just like my coworkers, which again is like that weird change, that switch up. It is extremely crucial that you trust them, and that at the end of the day that they're going to uphold the quality of work that you expect, and that they can that the brand, everything that you've worked hard for, everything that you've leveraged, everything that you have is still protected, even when you're not there. I wish I had all the answers for how to make that be. Like, I wish I could just answer what the secret sauce is for that. I think it's hugely predicated on the individual that is there. And I think there is those hard moments of change. And change within a company. I mean, we're going to continue to change.
And as you grow, it just, you do add more layers and you have to delegate and
there's going to be more
people.
people between me and them at some point, you know, like you hope. So then they're more supported too. Because if it's just me, I'm not going to be able to be that support, you know? And so you hope to put more people in place to kind of help feel that support. But that change, when you change within a company, that usually causes turmoil. Because people don't like change in general. And if I think by nature, we tend to find negativity in that versus positivity. What I have found as a whole is that when your gut tells you something is not right, as hard as it is, you need to make a change.
And listen.
And when I have listened to that, which I'm not always good at it, I'm actually usually not good about it. But when I have had those changes happen, it has made way for something so much better. And that's like just the hard truth. I think that you want to be a friend and you start out as a friend, and you still want to be that. But when that gets turned against you, that's tough.
It is tough. And relationship building and team management. Those are all like fast.
And those boundaries.
And how to set those. So, and you have too, speaking of teams, you have the Hannesson home team, which I'm guessing, you know, they connect with Made for Home, but then you have the secondary component that we were chatting about.
And I guess I just would love, in case anybody hasn't understood by now, Hannesson Home does...
Hannesson Home is a full-service interior design firm. So we specialize in kitchen and bath, which means if you want us to just come in and measure your cabinetry space, we will help you design that space, and we will supply you with cabinetry and countertops. And then we will do the installation. So we are a supplier and designer for the kitchen and bath world. That is not uncommon service locally or globally. That is something that I started out doing from the very beginning. That was all I did do for 7 years, was just kitchen and bath. And so that is like the backbone to Hannesson Home. And then we also have the full service interior design firm, which is new. That's new. That came with the Hannesson Home rebrand. And so that is where we can come in and we will walk into your space. We will hear what you want us to do, and we will do all of the work. We will source everything. We will do the AutoCAD drawings. We will order it all in. We will do the procurement for it, and we will check it into our warehouse. We deliver it, we install it, and then we accessorize it. So, I mean, even if you want us to buy your silverware, I mean, it's that in depth if you want it to
that
be.
detailed.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah, so it can be as far as you want it to go, but that's what that full service is somebody that really wants a curated space, or maybe they don't have time or whatever else. We hijack it. You have like 2 to 3 meetings with us and you're done. We pick all of your plumbing, you come in and it's just all there. So we run to the 20 different stores or outsource it from all around the nation and order it in, so you don't have to. So you're not just limited. And really, it's pushing the boundaries of what somebody could probably do with the resources just locally.
Mm-hmm. I love that addition and your explanation of that. I think that you see that in the work you guys do with your photos and your projects and things like that. And it's really fun to follow.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there like me that don't have anything on their walls because they don't know how to decorate.
You are not alone. There's a lot of that type. I mean, and honestly, it's just comes down to too, like, different people are good at different things. And that's what makes the world go round. And I could not do what you guys do. Anybody can be an expert in a certain thing. And I think it's just recognize what you're good at and what you're not good at. Even from an ownership standpoint, I've realized like there is some things I should do, and there are some things I really shouldn't. And being like, okay, I do need to find an expert at this because that is not me.
Which I think is a great telltale of what you hear a lot of strong leaders, which I consider you that, talk about of surrounding your table with people that are better at certain things than
100%. I do not want to be the best designer in my company.
And books and
At
all
all.
of those things.
Nothing.
You know, like how do you bring people in that really help elevate?
I want everybody to be better. I mean, and that's how we grow. That's how we get to the next level. And I would say like a lot of and I see it so many times in like my coworkers with their designs and with their kitchen and bath stuff. I'm like, dang, you're better than me now. Like you killed that. Like you're awesome. Like way to go. And so I think like we all have our strong suits. There's certain things that I feel like I'll always be the go-to for, but it's fun to have people that are better than you in general.
Well, they look up to you and come to you for those guidance and things like that. So I want to take us back and chat a little more about from Shop Hannesson Home. You go through COVID.
Yeah.
E-commerce, you start a business and you're like, hey, COVID. And then we transition to Made for Home and a new location.
Yep. Yeah, we're not,
those are a lot of things I tossed out, so.
I think it's just there. Yeah, there's a lot. We've done a lot. I think with Shop, Hannesson grew so fast. Hannesson Home just grew. And so we quickly realized like, holy heck, we do not have the space. I mean, I think, gosh, how many? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. I think we had 9 employees in there. And 2,000 square feet, which is 9 desks plus kitchen displays. And then to have a retail store in it, it's like, wait, what? I mean, we don't have any devising walls. So it's just all open. And we did it well for what it was. And honestly, too, like no mun, no fun. Like we didn't get to just like we had to start somewhere. And so that's what we did. And then we had an opportunity to be a partner on the downtown building. And they knew that we didn't have like an option to maybe move everything at that point. And so they're like, would you want to go in with ownership on this building and then be a tenant? And so I was like, well, that could maybe work. And so that's what we did. And we renovated it and got to design it. And that was super fun. I mean, in a historic building, there's like nothing better. So
and is it mixed use, that building? Because I know you guys are on the first floor.
Yep. So it's us and a salon is right next door to us, and we're the retail space tenants. And then we have 9 apartments upstairs, which we did renovate as well. And then I think we have 2 in the back, which are not renovated yet. And so those are just hanging out back there with tenants that have been there for a while. And so we're just upstairs. We did do a full renovation though. And then on our main floor, that was a big, and then we basically ripped off like the whole front of the building and brought it back to what it originally looked like,
It
just
looks
modernized.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's
It's
stunning.
gorgeous.
Yeah,
And
it's
activating a different part of Billings.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely like the quieter spot in, like, it's just one off of that main busy street. And so we're hoping to kind of pull and kind of beautify that part of that
And
street
someone
as well.
always has to be
Crazy.
You just have to do it. No, but like even
Somebody
you
has
talked about
to
your
be the
retail.
catalyst,
You
right?
just have
Yeah.
to do it, and then
Yeah.
others will come.
Yep.
They'll
If
follow.
you build it, they will
They'll
come. I think that's
I
a
have
saying. I
lived
think so.
on that saying. I'm like, if we build it, they'll come. If we make it an experience, they will come. And so that, yeah. So downtown was scary, and I actually was always a proponent for not doing downtown. I was very like, no, I'm not going down there. It's not enough traffic. It's not enough whatever. And for what we've used it for, and in this time frame, it's been really good for us. Right now, I mean, it works. Not to say that Hannesson Home and Made for Home won't be together again. I know that is definitely the goal. And so I hope that can happen. So that's where we'd like it to be.
No, and I love that you brought that up. We were going to ask about it. Just sort of, I think something that we've learned from you, just even chatting with you today, is you have those big dreams and
Yeah.
you manifest them.
Yeah,
and
100%.
they become reality. And I think that that's so inspiring to people that you're always thinking, okay, we did it.
Yep.
And now what? And
Yeah.
what does that look like?
100%. And I think that's a thing about that too, is like, I'm so thankful for what we have. And I'm so thankful that I get to live this dream and that I've found some really amazing people that are in it with me. And I think that is crucial. I mean, your network is your net worth. I believe that to my core. But I think the thing is and I always say this too, never sacrifice the dream. And while where we are is so amazing, and I'm so thankful, and I love it to a pulp. I love it so much that it's dangerous sometimes. And but I do, like, this is just our start point. Like, we're just getting warmed up. And I or at least I hope, God willing, I hope that that's the case. But I feel like if you keep pushing and putting in the work, that it'll happen. And so, yeah, I do. While where we are now is great and we love it, I do see change. Change will happen.
I mean, I think
would imagine
it
soon.
happens as you grow. And speaking of growing, I'm curious. We've had different, guests on, but Christian now is full time with the
Yeah.
company.
Yep.
Talk to us about, how do you guys do it? How do you have a company, have your kiddos and your personal life and integrate it all? How do you do it?
It got to the point where I couldn't do it anymore without him. Like, it wasn't really, I think that's such a scary jump to put all your eggs in one basket. And I think that was always the dream. Well, I know that was always the dream for us to be able to be together in this, because I think one thing that people don't realize is that he always was in it. Like, he was always the late night calls. I mean, I called him probably 10 times a day, being like, what do I do? Like, what should I do? I need you. Why aren't you here? And so I think we pushed it probably as far as we could before it was like, all right, it's time. And so I think, he has a love for business. He just loves everything about, developing businesses, building a system out. And he's super creative too, which I don't know if many people actually know about him, but he's actually really creative, and he's very intelligent when it comes to just business in general. And so his expertise has always been in there. And what we have today is because of that. It's just now he's actually getting to focus on it. And so, he does not work for me. He works with me. It is him and I. It is a mutual 100% both of us. And I think that that's also important as a company to recognize that in that way. He has just as much say in anything as I do. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I found early on that I do not want that much power alone. I'm like, I am not
It's easier to have
doing
share
this.
it. It's like a shared
for sure.
responsibility.
Yeah. And so, he came on board. It's not quite a full year yet, but we're nearing it. And it's cool because as soon as he came on board, we had an opportunity to do commercial cabinetry. And it was a big opportunity and a lot of unknown. And that I do the back end, like design, ordering, communication, negotiating. But he built the whole system. So like we went from having just one warehouse guy. Now we have 9.
Wow.
And we build our own cabinets. So we have like 9 assembly lines. And I think we produce on average about 60 cabinets a day.
Wow.
So he built a massive system. And now we also have an inventory software app. So not only because every unit is different because it's multifamily. So like every unit's different. Some are ADA units, some are not. So some we have to cut, some we don't. And so he literally in these last 9 months built an entire business. Like a whole new division that is like, oh, what do we do with this now?
And you
how should we
created
grow
jobs.
this? Yeah, a lot of jobs. And I wish we could have kept all of them. It's been a really cool experience. And so, I don't even get to really see him very often because he's so busy with that. But I think that's just a testament that he is built for, like I said, when something happens and timing is everything. But when we allow it to happen, opportunity comes. You make way for new experiences to kind of come through the door.
What's one tip that you would provide business owners that are husband and wife duos to make sure that it it still flows?
Yeah.
And it's not terrible at home because of what's happening at work.
Yeah, I would say for us, it's a lot of communication. I think it's communicating and making sure that you are very open about communication. And I would say even just something that Christian and I have had from day one is just a lot of mutual respect. And he respects me and I respect him. And if he or I would ever talk disrespectfully, we would absolutely be like, no. I think it's that everything is based out of love. And that doesn't mean that it's always easy, but just like anything, you have a choice. You have a choice to communicate it. You have a choice to respect one another and want them to be happy too. And I think Christian, like I said, is super talented. He was in the financial world. He could have killed it there. He could have took that and ran it home I can't even imagine what he would have done with that. But I think the reality is that he loves me a lot, and I think it's super special to want to build something of your own, and when it's for somebody else, that's well and good. And that's fine. I did that for a long time too. We both did, but there's a different level of pride when it's yours. And so the other thing I would say to that is make sure you have very clear roles and responsibilities. I think when you do that, then what you're supposed to be doing, where your responsibilities are. And I think if that's super clear, that also helps. And if you do it long enough alone, you'll realize quickly what you don't want. You maybe thought you did in the beginning. I remember thinking oh yeah, I want to do this and I want to manage and I want to do this. I'm like, I don't want to manage. I want to design and find business deals and work with clients. I don't want to manage. That's not something that is my skill set, even though I thought it would be. But he is really good at it. So I think it's finding what you're good at and not forcing something else.
And it sounds like you guys complement each other well.
Very
in that
much.
respect. And I've
100%.
seen it by interacting with the two of you.
Oh, for
you guys
sure.
are just very complimentary of one another.
Yeah, I was kidding with the girls at Hannesson home. I was like, well, if you ever want anything, you should probably ask Christian. And sure enough, he rolls up with this brand new coffee pot. It's this espresso thing. And I'm like, what is that? He's like, I don't know. Josie said that this is the good one. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Okay.
He is so giving and so loving and so lighthearted. Not that I'm not some of those things. It's just we do complement each other really well.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
So now that you've been in Billings for a while, what do you think?
These are the key things I love about Billings is growth is sustainable. I think that it's not something that spikes and then crashes. I think that it's business savvy. And I think that if I like that it's just more grounded. So I would say that Billings for business opportunity is a great one. I think that there's lots of growth happening here, and that makes me excited, especially like within the hospitals and even like the multifamily development and the new Costco. I mean, there is things that like show, and there's like a ton of studies you can look into, but Billings does show growth, but it's sustainable. And I do really, coming from a small town, I think that the people that you know best, they're a certain type. Like it's the ranchers, it's the farmers, it's the handshake deals. And that's kind of what I was brought up on. And so I like that maybe isn't fully what Billings is, but there's pieces of it. And I do love that like hometown. I don't even know how else to describe it. It's more of a feeling than anything else. But when I meet certain people, I'm like, oh, that's you, and I want like, it's just, it's solid. It's supportive. And it's really not a lot of fluff. And I think I can appreciate that too. And so I really love Billings, and I love that it's loved us back. I feel thankful for this journey here, and I have met some of the coolest people. And I think that was when I started to change my perspective probably the most about Billings, is when I started to find my people. And I think once that happens, that's when I think that's when those roots start to sink down, because you feel supported. And yeah, I mean, truly, I have met probably the best people in my life here. So I think that is a big part of it. And that did take time. I think going to church helps, where you can build that community. I think people that we've done in their homes, that builds that relationship. And also fellow business owners. I mean, nobody gets it more than them. And when you get to talk and hang out with them, they don't look at you like you're crazy. And so I think just finding like-minded people and not like-minded people to push you, that has probably been the biggest differentiator with Billings for me.
Those are all really great touch points, I think.
Gosh, what do I ask after that? Like, you just killed it.
And I think, a lot of people say that about Billings. We met, when neither of us are from here, we met a long time ago. We're coming up on what's our year?
It's like 8 years.
Oh my gosh.
But really, awesome. I think Billings has great people, and it's finding them that really makes it a more unique community.
For sure.
We're going to take a quick break for a sponsor message, and then we will come back for some rapid fire questions.
Oh, great. Here we go.
Thank you to Big Sky Economic Development for supporting the Vault at 201 North Broadway. Big Sky Economic Development provides leadership and resources for business creation, expansion, retention, new business recruitment, and community development. If you are starting a business, growing or expanding your business, diversifying your customer base, or maybe you're looking for business trainings to attend to continue to learn and grow, they're excited and here to help. Even if you're thinking of relocating your company into Billings, they're a resource for you. BSED also provides resources for community development initiatives by planning, partnering, and managing projects, and administering grants for redevelopment and placemaking. Their workforce development program brings together industry and education partners to anticipate and respond to community workforce needs. And they provide talent attraction and retention resources for your business to use under the community brand Better Off in Billings. BSED's Rock 31 program is focused on helping startups thrive. And in their location in downtown Billings, they have 2 floors dedicated to co-working and additional spaces throughout their building open to the community to host their meetings, events, and trainings. Visit bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org. Again, that's bigskyeconomicdevelopment.org, or follow them on Facebook and LinkedIn.
We like to end each episode with a set of rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
They're fun.
Guess so. Okay, let's do it.
What gets you going in the morning, and how do you start your day?
Oh, my kids. My kids get me, just by default, we have to get ready for school, make lunches, get them out the door. So my kids get me up in the morning and get me going. They get me going with everything, but definitely my kids get the day moving.
That's how you start your day. That's fun. Okay, Our second one is, what advice do you have for maintaining quality friendships when you're just a really busy business. You're running multiple businesses. So how do you maintain those quality relationships?
I think that if you want, for me personally, is that I cannot probably be there for you at any given time. I will try my best. And I think it's just that if I can, I'll be open and honest with you communication wise. And if you call me, I'll always pick up. But I think it's just understanding and giving grace. Like, oh, I texted her, she hasn't responded for like 7 hours. Well, that is going to probably be me. And so I think it's finding the people that understand you and are good with that. And then because they know that the quality that you're giving is still 100%. And I think it is also, sometimes you do have to prioritize those relationships. And like I said, it's not like I'm just really bad at texting. It's like my worst trait. And I've always had it be my resolution. It's still not working. But I think it's just finding the people that know you for you and making that a priority to really pour back into those relationships when you can. I would say that is probably the best advice I would give, but also you will know when it's the right people. Like when you meet the right people, it's easy to give what you need, what you can to them, and they'll be understanding about whatever that is back. So I think it's, I don't know if that answers it, but that's what I got going. So
I think that's great. And I think it's true, especially as you get busier. Like texting is hard. It just, you don't,
if you call,
open it,
I'll almost always answer. I'm like, wait, my watch is buzzing.
Let me answer my phone.
Texting takes so long, I feel like. So
well, and it's easy just to be like, oh, I got to remember that. And then you just go off and do something else. And then 7 hours later, you're like looking through something. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then it's like 11 o'clock at night though. And you're like, oh, I don't know. Message them, depending on how close you are, But I mean, if you think about it, if you're a business owner, I mean, I have 3 Instagrams, I have 3 Facebooks, I have 4 emails, I have texting, and I have phone calls, and I have my personal line at the business too. And so it's like, it is hard to manage it all.
And you have clients.
Yeah. And fortunately and unfortunately, like they will always take precedence when I'm, especially during the working hours like that. I am for them, And so,
it's the power of consistency, right? If you say you're available from this time to this time, then you got to be.
Yep.
So my last question for you are, what are some non-negotiables in business and life?
Oh man. I would say, and I was given this advice before I even opened Hannesson Home, is know what your core values are. And for me, that is God, one, and then my family. And I would say even beyond that is just that general well-being, like that gut feeling, that you check all the time. So if anything doesn't service those things, and also just like good morals, I would say is another thing for me. Like my dad always said, the 2 biggest things that he would be so upset with us is if we ever lied or stole. And I think that too, like anything that does not service my core values and my morals, those would be a non-negotiable. If something feels yucky, it probably is, and I wouldn't step into that. And I've been doing this for 10 years, and I think when you've worked with a lot of people, and good, bad, and different, you do work with some people that are just not good to you, or they don't talk to you nicely, or you have the amazing ones, but every now and then you have those that treat you very poorly. And if they came to me today with a dream project that would make tons of money or whatever else, I would still not take it.
It's not worth it.
No, it's not. And I think that's, again, when you say no to those ones, no, even if it looks good, when you say no, it'll make room for somebody that does appreciate you. And so I think going with your gut and not going with a dollar amount, that would be a non-negotiable. I would never do something out of that doesn't feel good.
And there's other ways. I think that, like you said, it comes back and it rewards you in different ways.
For sure.
And not everybody's your customer.
Yep. And I think that's a harsh reality.
Yep.
It's the truth, though.
It has been so much fun having you on here. So we want to tell our listeners, where can people find you? So you mentioned some social media, websites. Where can people connect?
So the biggest one that a lot of people connect with us is Instagram. Instagram for Hannesson Home and Made for Home HH are our 2 Instagram handles. And that's where a lot of people find us. We do have websites as well. Hannesson's is getting ready to go under construction, but social media is probably our biggest place to find us. Of course, you can come meet us in person. We're right on 24th Street across from Barnes & Noble at Hannesson Home. That's where all the designers are. And then usually me, my husband, and also like our HR girl, Mariah, and stuff. So we're all at that location. And then Made for Home is on 14 North 29th Street. And that is just
Great sign.
29th Street.
I see
Always
it. It's
smells
cute.
nice.
It does always smell good in there. It does always smell good,
You had
no
these
doubt.
great swivel chairs the other day. They were like big, puffy, like oversized chairs. And then I was like touching one because I'm a toucher.
Yeah.
And it started swiveling. I was like, oh,
I know.
I found the perfect chair.
He was like, this is for me. Okay, speaking of Made for Home, can we do a giveaway?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes. Okay, so can we do, so if you guys comment on our latest post at the Vault on Instagram and tell us what was your favorite part of this episode, we're giving away a signature Made for Home candle and a gift card. So be sure to let us know what your favorite part of this episode was on our latest post on the Vault. And Jessica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, you guys, for having me. It was a real treat.
Thank you. You were awesome. So thanks so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Make sure you are subscribed to The Vault at 201 North Broadway, wherever you podcast, including YouTube.
Connect with us on Facebook at The Vault at 201 North Broadway and Instagram at The Vault_201.
Don't forget to visit us at thevault@201.com and subscribe to our newsletter.
We will see you next time.
Bye.